This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paul.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to another edition of the Voice of the Land podcast. This is season 3, episode 16. 16 being my favorite number, so this is going to be one heck of an episode for sure. We got a jam-packed show coming up for you. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother Nick Paulus. Paulus, what's going on, man?
Everything's going pretty well. We're in deeper. Obviously, Mike DeWine extended the quarantine session, so we're just gonna try and lock ourselves in and try not to kill our animals. I was telling you guys beforehand, but my dog has been a bit of a bad girl. Over the last 24 hours, going through eating the kitty food. My 3 cats, so eating all of their food, and then by doing that, giving her epic diarrhea. So it has been a rough 24 hours, but we're gonna make it. So
we're painting a pretty picture to start this podcast
it's
episode for everybody out there.
It is a beautiful day.
And of course, behind the scenes, behind the proverbial glass, our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tella. Peter, I know you got the puppy. It's growing and having issues with the animal as well back home.
He is biting. Oh, he's nipping. He's trying to figure that out, and it's it can be painful. But we've had him just about a month, actually a month today, and he's doubled in size. So he's maybe he's 3 months old maybe now. So yeah. He's a lab mix. We don't know mix with what. So I think pit bull with my wife's like, I didn't want a pit bull mix. But
yeah.
We have no idea. We'll probably never know.
Well, I mean, today is move-in day for me to the apartment. So I won't be dealing with cats or dogs. Do have a rabbit that I am kind of inheriting as helping taking care of. So Rajay Michael Davis is his name, kind of named after, girlfriend is a big baseball fan. They're big Indians fans with their family. So, of course we are as well, but, we kind of talk about all the sports. They're the ones that always listen. They're like, talk more baseball. Don't worry. We're talking baseball today, a little bit later in the podcast. We are going to get into some of the NFL draft as well. Just kind of wrap up everything. When we recorded last week, we were recorded before day 3, and there were some storylines that kind of came out of day 3 and throughout the week with the Browns that we're going to touch on here in the beginning. Just kind of want to reset everything for everybody out there, because over the past week, I was reminded that we passed the year anniversary of Avengers Endgame, and being in quarantine and movie productions all shut down right now. It's kind of been, you're not getting into that summer blockbuster time that we would be getting into right now, and kind of Endgame was the start of it last year, and kind of not having those kinds of things this year, and having those penultimate movies and these franchises that everybody puts out at this time of the year is a little sad. But we always say at the end of the podcast that we love you all 3000. And of course, that does come from Endgame between Tony Stark and his daughter Morgan. And it just something that just resonated with us as being big Marvel fans here. And, Paulus, I don't know if you saw it, but all the Russo brothers, both Russo brothers on Twitter, they were posting videos that they were taking behind the scenes or secretly in theaters in California last year of reactions to all the different epic endings and kind of how they tied up all the storylines. Just your memories and why Marvel has, and especially the Marvel Cinematic Universe, why that has kind of tied into your life so much.
Well, I mean, it's been a big chunk of my adulthood. I mean, what was it? Iron Man came out in, I believe it was 2008. So, I mean, it's a year after I got out of high school. Mm-hmm. So I was 18, 19 years old whenever that movie came out. So, I mean, and it's been going up until right now. I'm 32 now, or 31. I'm going to be 32. But it's, it was just, I mean, it's been such a huge chunk of my life, movie wise, because I love going to the movies, and it's killing me that the cinemas aren't open right now, because I mean, obviously everyone, we need to be quarantined, we need to make sure that this virus goes away and everything, and we've talked about that 1,000 times over the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
But I really do, like, if I miss anything, I miss going to the movies, because that's something that my wife and I, we would do on a regular basis. Checking out all the movies. We were supposed to see Black Widow. That was supposed to be coming out. That got pushed back. Actually, yesterday, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was supposed to be, like, that was the initial production date release. So it should have been Guardians of the Galaxy. We should be talking Guardians of the Galaxy 3 today. It's unfortunate that we aren't. But getting back to Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame, those kind of go hand in hand together. Obviously, I mean, it's the same exact storyline. It's all about Thanos, which Thanos is one of the best villains of all time. I mean, hands down. And for me personally, the reason why he was such a great villain is because you could connect to what he was saying. There are a lot of mouths to feed in this universe. What if half of them did go away? Now, and once again, it wasn't a you die, you're safe, you're cool. No, you die. It wasn't anything like that. It was a straight random, you might die, you might not die. And like, that's kind of a, I don't know, like, I don't want to sound like Thanos, but I mean, if you had to do something as drastic as that, like, that's the only fair way of doing it. So like, I could kind of see where he's coming from on that. But it is, I mean, it's just such a fantastic movie, both Infinity War and Endgame. The final scene of Endgame, I think we can talk about it now, finally. We're not breaking any ground, but whenever, everyone comes through the portals and you hear Sam Wilson on your left, and like, goosebumps. I got goosebumps right now. Just talking.
So do I. I watched it the other night, and it was
Right.
it's the same emotions in those scenes as it was before. It
Yes.
just resonates with me like that.
I always thought that the coolest scene of my entire life was whenever Thor comes back down to Earth, and bring me, like, I thought that was like the greatest scene of my entire life. And then the following year, we see the portals and everyone comes together, and it's the Avengers assemble, and like, that then took over, down from, it's fantastic all the way through. That movie is such a great, awesome ending, to like phase 3, and now we have to look forward to phase 4, which I know we're definitely looking forward to it, but we have no idea what's going to be happening for it right now because of this quarantine. It's backing up everything. Does that mean that it's going to shut down production on some of these movies that were supposed to be coming out? Like, I know that they've completely discounted where Doctor Strange is going to be happening, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that I don't even think that they have a script yet for it. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's so insane what this quarantine has done. I mean, Peter, are you into more Marvel or DC, or ever really been into those comic book hero characters?
Oh, I love Marvel. DC for me is just, I'll watch them, but it's just, I don't know. It's just not the same. Marvel, there's the humor in it. The action just seems better. Like, and my kid, I agree with you, Nick. Going to the theaters, we don't do it that much because with the kids it gets expensive.
Sure.
But like Endgame, we went to the theaters to see that. We take them to that. They love it. Were there flaws in the movie? Sure.
Sure.
But who cares? The movie was freaking awesome. I mean, it was fantastic. It tied up a lot of, storylines, and it just, I was just thrilled to see it. I'll watch it again. I'm pretty sure we have most of those Marvel movies on like Amazon, bought them on Amazon, and
Yep.
yeah, it's just but Fat Thor, that's who I can relate to. So you're talking about relating to Thanos, man. I can relate to Fat Thor. Sitting around drinking beer. That sounds like sounds good to me.
Yeah, whenever anyone asks you what kind of superhero are you, I'm like, oh, I'm Thor. And they're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm Fat Thor. Yeah, that
There
totally
you go.
works.
You just gotta say Endgame Thor.
Endgame Thor. Yeah, there
Endgame
we
Thor.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you saw what Thor could do in the circumstances he was in towards the end of the movie. So
Yeah.
the world's your oyster, as they say. Or I mean, it's just it just reminds us of kind of what we really get into, and there is a big portion of society that gets into, they are into movies, they're into that art of making movies, or people that love to take pictures or paint, or there's so many things that people are passionate about that. Yeah, you can do a little bit of it individually right now, being quarantined, and as states slowly open up, you still have limited space and time to do that. But there are people that have it's affected more than just us loving sports and not being able to see sports. People that yes, we love to see movies too. We are multifaceted, but people that are really into movies, they're movie critics, or they love to go during the time of movies that are up for Academy Awards, and they love to see which ones are going to win. They like to make their picks. Though that option isn't there right now either. Yeah, there's some downloading and some streaming videos and movies that weren't going to have big releases anyway, so they decided to put them out there for people to rent or buy. They release them that way, but it's just, it doesn't have that same feeling like it does when you go to the movie theater. And in terms of Marvel and Endgame, it's just, those are those bigger than life characters that you can still relate to, because Marvel puts that relatable spin on there. And it's just, it reminds us that last year, at least Endgame was able to come out, and this didn't happen at that time for something like that. And they were ready to reset the whole universe. And we don't have that distraction. And really, the only distraction we've had as sports fans is the draft. I mean, Major League Baseball is trying to come back, and we're going to get to that here in a second. But who knows? And NBA is trying to come back, but who knows? Because we just don't know unless there's a vaccine if we're going to be able to come back. And we say we love you all 3,000, and we truly mean that to everybody that listens, but especially right now, as we say every single week, to all those frontline workers, all those essential workers that are out there, the people restocking the grocery stores, and getting these PPE, the personal protection equipment, to all of these healthcare workers out there. We thank you so much, and we truly do love you 3,000, because there were so many themes in that movie that go beyond just being Marvel fans. They really attribute to life themes and things you can take moving forward. But the distraction that we were able to have was last week, and it was the draft. And we got into it. We had a great live feed, about a week and a half ago on that Thursday night for round one. Then we reviewed night one, night two last Saturday. Of course, we had day three, where the Browns picked up tight end, picked up some depth at offensive line. And the one position we were both looking for was wide receiver, and they picked up Donovan Peoples-Jones from that school up north. And I kind of, before we get into kind of the overall winners and losers, I kind of wanted to start there, because there was a big discussion, and we know that we're Ohio State fans here, but I take issue with those that can't even welcome in a talented football player to the Cleveland Browns because they played up there. Yeah, when the game is going on and it's Ohio State versus that team up north, yeah, I don't like them. It's a rivalry. I don't want to see them succeed, but I know that they get top recruits. I know that they get 5-star recruits. They get top talent up there as well. And that's why, you hate to see a Donovan Peoples-Jones doing so well against you, because you know how good he is and how much his talent was wasted by Jim Harbaugh up there, and that's why he dropped to the 6th round. Urban Meyer even said that if he would have came to Ohio State, he would have been able to show that he was a top 10 worthy talent in this draft. Now, it's one person's opinion. Maybe he's a second, third rounder, but still higher up in the draft, I think, if he was used properly. Paulus, I mean, the reaction that you've seen to it, kind of the mixed reaction to it, do you take issue with it, or are you one of those people that, you do take issue when you see a team up north player be drafted by the Browns?
I take issue with any Browns fan that hates on someone that we just picked up. I mean, you haven't seen them in the brown and orange yet. I like to give people benefit of the doubt. Donovan Peoples-Jones should have been a top 20 pick. His skill set was as good, if not better, than all of the guys that got picked up in the first round. I mean, he's 6 foot, what, 2, 3, 4, somewhere right around there. Runs a 4.4, great jumping ability. I think he's a 44 vert. I mean, the guy is a special playmaker. And you've seen that at whenever he was playing for the school up north. I mean, he took kickoff returns back, punt returns. I mean, the guy's a playmaker all the way around, and he's not like a tweener, kind of like what Jabril Peppers was. No, this dude is a fantastic, great looking football player. And his talents were wasted. I mean, Jim Harbaugh screwed a lot of people over at Michigan so far. If you just think about it, there were 337 people drafted, either free agents drafted or, that all went to the combine. 336 were all taken. And then it's the 337th prospect was Shea Patterson. He just got picked up. I believe it was yesterday. But for a while, he was the only player that went to the combine that didn't get picked up by a team. And that's something, maybe that's a little bit of his attitude or anything like that, that might be going on. But I truly believe Jim Harbaugh screwed him over because he was at one point in time, he was like a top 4 or 5 quarterback, that was coming out of high school. I mean, he had talent. He just wasn't used properly, in that system. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones, I mean, he had some numbers there, but nowhere near the numbers that he should have had. Coming out of there, he should have been more like a Braylon Edwards with the numbers. And that brings up another point. We had, and you and I have talked about this off air, but there's people like, Munch Bishop, who is a huge, he's a huge Ohio State fan. Obviously, he's a Browns fan as well. He's been in radio for nearly 40 years. And, hats off to you, man. Hats off to you for that. But the fact that you are 60 years old and you're ripping on some 22-year-old that's just coming out of college, that just wants to make a name for himself in the NFL, boo-hoo to you. Like that is bad juju. That is just not right for you to be doing that, to rip some 21, 22-year-old kid because he didn't go to a college that you like. I don't care how big of a Buckeye honk you think you are, but you need to you need to check yourself. That's exactly what it is. Check yourself, because this dude might come out here and ball out of his mind. What if he it's a long shot. He's a 6th round draft pick. But what if he becomes one of the better wide receivers that we've ever had? Let's say he breaks some records. I mean, if we think about it, do you think Munch was, scowling Braylon Edwards whenever he had 80, receptions for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns in 2007? I don't think so. I think Munch was going around high-fiving people going like, yeah, I don't like him, but I mean, he's scoring me touchdowns. Just give the same benefit of the doubt to Donovan Peoples-Jones because he might be the same exact sort of player.
Hey Nick, you know who else was a 6th round draft pick out of Michigan?
Oh, yeah?
Tom Brady.
Yeah, 199th pick.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think any Browns fan would boo Tom Brady if he had the success that he had with New England as a Brown because he went to that team up north. I think they'd be pretty forgiving about that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point, Peter. I mean, if Tom Brady had the same sort of success here, Munch wouldn't be saying a damn thing about the school up north. He just wouldn't. And that's something to me like that bothers me a little bit because you're automatically thinking that this kid's a failure. He might become a failure. It might happen. But at the same time, he might turn out to be great. What if he turns out to be our 3rd wide receiver and scores a touchdown in the playoffs to extend our season? What if that happens? Then what do you got to do, Munch? Then you got to eat your words. So just stop it right there and shut the hell up.
Yeah. Seeing those tweets and kind of Munch being the face, because I saw other people doing the same thing, but kind of a local guy that's been in radio that's, you know, kind of growing up listening to him all the time and looking up to him. And it disappointed me to see it taken that far. And I know that he's been outspoken on a couple guys throughout last couple years, not just in this Ohio State team up north rivalry and coming to Cleveland or anything like that. There's been other guys where he's not even willing to give people a second chance. That they can't. There's no rectifying their credibility if they've gone through off-field issues or anything like that. And it's disappointing to see that, because he's the one that motivated me and influenced me to take this path that I'm taking, because I got to sit in when he was over at 850 and he would do that ESPN Cleveland Tonight show. He would do a fan segment, and he tweeted out that he needed a fan for one night, and I went in. It was like 3 years ago on one March night, and I tweeted back to him. I was like, "Hey, I'm available tonight. What time do you need me there?" And, you know, he picked me, and he said, you know, "Be there at this time and we'll go from this time to this time." And, you know, we sat in there, went in about 8:30, about a half hour left of the show. We go from like 8:30 to about 8:50. Probably blew through one of the breaks. And when he goes to break and before he kind of goes back on air for his final segment to close out the show, he turns to me and goes, "You know, these segments usually go about 9 to 10 minutes at most, because people that call in and they come in for these sit-ins, they get a mic in front of their face and they don't know really what to say. They don't have that. Yeah, they don't have that phone, and they're, you know, kind of whatever. If they're leaving a voicemail or, you know, just calling into the show and just talking for 2 minutes, they don't have that time to fill." He's like, "We just went 20 minutes and I just allowed us to keep going. We blew through a break, and, you know, we could have kept going, but I have to get this final break in before, you know, to get these sponsors pay, you know, to help them pay for the station or whatever, you know, the typical thing." Right. And he's like, and right there I was like, I know that this is my path. Like, I just talked to somebody that has credibility in this industry for 20 minutes, and he allowed me to keep going. And not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but it's just like, it's one of those moments, like that building moment that, you know, okay, this is my path. This is what I'm meant for, but I got to work my ass off to get there, because I got to start from I'm still trying to find that start from the bottom job and go up from there. And that's what you and I are, you know, that's part of what this is, of course, but we also want to share our passion and our thoughts about sports together and with Peter as well. So to have that influence, and he told me, you know, either go back to CSU or go to Ohio Media School. And that was that initial point. So to see tweets like that, where a guy was telling me the right way to do things, and to see you demean someone just because of where they went to school, it's not going to matter if Donovan Peoples-Jones craps out and plays special teams for a couple of years and then gets cut. It's not going to be because of where he went to school. It's going to be because he was talented enough or not talented enough to make this roster or have an impact on this roster. To demean someone just because of where they went to school. Yeah, any of my friends that are fans of the team up north, and during the game at the end of the year, of course I'm going to be ribbing them, and I'm going to be going back and forth, and I'm going to be screaming at my TV and screaming at all their fans and stuff like that. But I'm going to be screaming if Donovan Peoples-Jones makes a big play, because I know how talented he is, and Buckeye should have had a plan for him to stop him. Guess what? We just picked up that talented player that probably should have been picked up at latest 4th, 5th round in the 6th round. And yeah, KJ Hill was still there, and he's the reception leader at Ohio State. Both of those guys should have gone much earlier than they did in this draft. But you have to look at it with reality glasses on, and not just, oh, I don't like that school, so I don't want that player on my team. If that player is going to help you, you damn sure better well take that guy and try to add as much talent to your roster as possible, no matter where they went to school, no matter what fans think of it. I don't care. That was a steal of a draft, and I love that pick. And if he works out, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But that's going to be based on talent, not based on where he went to school. So people that are demeaning someone and going that far, and I know Twitter's an easy place to do that, and it's one of the things I hate about Twitter. But if you're going to be one of those people out there, you shut up, and maybe you should have been snapped out of existence by Thanos.
It's good. Great way to pull back the first segment there for us. I'm 100% agreeing with you on that. The way that I look at it is I am a Buckeyes fan. I'm a Browns fan. I want the best players on my team.
Yeah.
And to be 100% honest with you, Donovan Peoples-Jones is a better overall prospect than KJ Hill. That's the way that I view him. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have been pissed off if we chose KJ Hill over Donovan Peoples-Jones. Right. I would have been okay with that. But I think that they did the right thing. I think that they got the best prospect at the right spot. For the Browns, I'm not worried about, where did you go to college? Where did you do that? I want someone in here that is going to bring me a Super Bowl. Now, whether or not Donovan Peoples-Jones has the talent to help us out to get us over the hurdle, I don't know that. And Munch doesn't know that. That's the point. We don't know what he's made of as of yet. We're going to find out because he signed the contract. We're going to find out what he's worth. And I can't wait to find out what he's worth, because if he does take us over the top and we are able to get into the playoffs and possibly move on to where I think that we should be, which is a Super Bowl contender, I think that that's what we could become, because we have the talent for that. A lot of things have to fall into place. I'm not saying we're a Super Bowl or bust like I did last year. I'm not saying that. But I really do believe that we have the talent. I think we have a top 5 talented team. I don't think that there's 4 or 5 or that many other teams that have as much, if not more, talent than us. We're loaded. I want to see what we do with good players and good coaching, because the sky's the limit, if you ask me.
Yeah, and Peoples-Jones is going to be able to grow into the role as well. We thought when he was drafted, we were looking at him as possibly someone they were going to try to develop during the offseason here. However, they're going to go through the offseason as that third wide receiver. And during the week, the Browns re-signed Rashard Higgins, and Higgins has been out there,
which is huge.
I mean, yeah, it's huge. And, I know our buddies, Emmett, Gerard, Matt, they have that hotkey where it's Hollywood Higgins. I love that. And I love Hollywood here. I love when he scores a touchdown, he walks down the red carpet. And he, like Peoples-Jones, with the coaching, was underutilized or not utilized at all in a proper fashion for what he can do for the team. So now Peoples-Jones can take his time to develop, be a 4th wide receiver. And if unfortunately we're not able to, or Higgins balls out like we know he's capable of, earns a paycheck somewhere else that we're not able to pay him, well, then you have Peoples-Jones ready to fill into that 3rd role if he, kind of has that subtle impact this year. So there's less pressure on him, and now he can just focus on showing his talent. And I love Higgins signing that vet minimum, because he said it's not about the money. It's about, he felt like something was missing last year, and he didn't want to leave on that note. He wants to be a part of something special. He sees something special here. So he was willing to take a 1-year prove-it deal on a vet minimum deal to be back here. And I know Baker Mayfield, I heard the report that he had talked to Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, and he was banging the drum to keep him here, because Higgins was the one that Baker developed the most chemistry with first, when Baker was on the 2nd team and playing behind Tyrod Taylor during his first season in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, Baker has that rapport with, Hollywood, and that's great to see. I mean, if you think about it, he scored the game-winning touchdown against the Buffalo Bills. I believe it was week 12, and then he never caught a pass the rest of the year. I think he was in maybe 9 different sets, the rest of this season for that. And it's mind-boggling how bad Freddie Kitchens botched the last half of last year.
Bumbling Freddie Kitchens.
What was that?
Bumbling Freddie Kitchens.
Bumbling Freddie Kitchens. I mean, that's the go-to word to describe Freddie Kitchens as bumbling. He screwed up so badly last year, because Odell was hurt. I mean, we knew Odell was hurt, the last couple of games of the year. You're telling me a completely 100% healthy Rashard Higgins couldn't help you out, couldn't, spell Odell a couple of plays and, be a big time wide receiver like he was Baker's, last half of his rookie season. I mean, they had great chemistry, that second half of the rookie season, and Freddie just screwed it all up. He screwed up a lot of things last year. The offense was mind-boggling how bad it was.
Yeah, bumbling is the great word, because Jarvis has even said it. They knew what they were doing for the first 15 to 20 plays, how every team kind of scripts out that first 15 to 25 plays to start out a game. And that's why you saw so much success on that opening drive of the season and opening drives throughout the year, something the Browns were always terrible at, scoring opening drive touchdowns or getting points on opening drives. They were great at that last year for the most part, but they didn't have anything. They couldn't continue to add to that. They couldn't continue to dominate games because they didn't know what the game plan was moving forward. It was just being put out there as they went along. And these guys, they didn't know what route they were supposed to be running, what play was called. They thought it meant they run one route, Baker's throwing another way, and that's half of his interceptions. The other half was just terrible passes, overdoing it. So it's just, I don't know. I think the Browns right now are in a better spot, but we're still at a point where they have to prove it on the field. We can listen to them. We can watch all they do. They can make all these offseason moves. They can even sign Jadeveon Clowney today for all that matters. But I'm going to need to see it translate and have the coaching staff take what Andrew Berry and the front office have done so far and translate it to on-field success. Until, not that I'm always loyal. We always believe. Right. But until we can be really rah like we were last year in the offseason, we need to be that way during the season and see it that way in the season.
Win me the first game. Win me the first game and you'll win me over. That's exactly how it's going to feel. But you got to win that first game. You got to get that monkey off your back. I mean, we've lost what? I think it's like 17 out of the last 18 first games of the year. Opening games of the year. It's such a ridiculous stat, but we need to get that monkey off our back. And if we can do that, then I'll feel a lot better about going, 500 or better, which this team absolutely should blow right past.
And the teams that turn around quickly in the NFL, which it is possible, the biggest piece to that confidence being built in those seasons, win the first game. Because the teams that don't really win the first game most often or lose a lot of games, when they win that first one, that confidence in that locker room just builds and they take it from there. Speaking of other teams in the NFL, just quickly as we wrap up the NFL talk before we get into MLB, do you have a winner and a loser from the draft, Paulus?
I mean, I really do believe that the Browns had a great draft. Mm-hmm. I think, getting, the tackle, some linebacker help, a safety, Grant Delpit, I think it's going to be a great pickup. I think that he's going to be a fantastic add, to our LSU, OSU DB backfield that we have. But the Ravens, I mean, let's be honest, the Ravens they were 14-2 last year. Mm-hmm. They ended up losing their first playoff game, which is kind of standard for them. But I mean, they had a great draft. I'm looking at their draft pickups right now. They had Patrick Queen, the other linebacker out of LSU, J.K. Dobbins, which is the one that killed me. Yes. The one that crushed me was J.K. Dobbins. We didn't need a running back, but I even posted, someone responded back to it, saying like, oh, what a bad take, or this didn't age well. I said, this was back in December, I think December 29th, I posted it on Twitter saying, I pray to God J.K. Dobbins goes anywhere but the Steelers or Ravens. What ended up happening? He goes to the Ravens, and now we have to look at, that sort of combo of Lamar and J.K. Dobbins. It's going to crush me. But they had that, and then they also had Malik Harrison. I mean, they picked up some really good players, and players that are going to be starting for them or making a solid impact for them right away. And that hurts me. That all being said, I thought that the Browns had a really good draft. I think that they are now second best in the division. I think we firmly supplanted ourselves above the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's just the way that I feel for it. I think if Baker even matches his rookie year, we're a playoff team. I truly believe that's how I feel. If Baker just matches 28 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, I think that we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to go with any team that's a winner outside of the Browns, unfortunately, if I couldn't pick the Browns, it would be the Ravens. They got great value. It's unfortunate to say, but it's just continued. They've taken the Ozzie Newsome mantra and philosophy and just continued that on with him, not in the front office anymore, but they've just continued that. Got great value. They let the draft come to them. And to be honest, I mean, if I were to, you kind of pick the winner there. If I were to pick a loser, I would say Green Bay. And I know that's unfortunate. I apologize to your wife, Kelly, who's a big Green Bay fan, but, not just taking the quarterback in the first round and, maybe some tensions building there between the front office and the team and Aaron Rodgers, but also just not getting him any weapons. Like, how do you not have faith in Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer? I know he's only won one Super Bowl, but still a guy that can win you still a couple more Super Bowls. Get him some more wide receivers so he doesn't just have Devontae Adams to throw to. Get him more weapons, and they did not do a good job of doing that.
This was the deepest wide receiver class in the last 25 years. And with I believe they had 8 or 9 picks, they didn't pick up a single wide receiver. And that's
a big problem.
That's a huge problem. The fact that you fall flat on your face like that, not only did you do that, but you basically screwed up everything, like your mojo that you had with the coach quarterback combo, because now there's reports coming out that Aaron Rodgers, was talking to Brett Favre, and Brett Favre now thinks that bridges have been burned. Aaron still has 4 years left on his contract, but Brett Favre thinks that he's not going to finish his contract here. He thinks that it's probably going to be 2 or 3 years, and then he's going to get traded to go elsewhere, which very well could happen. I think Aaron Rodgers deserves better. The fact that he has to deal with, Devontae Adams is a great, phenomenal talent, and I think that he's one of the top probably 6 wide receivers in the league. But then you look on the opposite side, and then you have like undrafted free agents that are over there. They did pick up Devin Funchess, but I have no trust in the guy. He wasn't that great in Carolina. And you're looking at Cam Newton to Aaron Rodgers. You're going up for that, but I don't believe Devin Funchess is going to be a great number 2 or anything like that. To me, he's a solid 3, which doesn't make any difference for Aaron Rodgers. They didn't pick up a single wide receiver. I believe they picked up 1 tight end, but he wasn't even one of the, he wasn't like a Harrison Bryant tight end, right. Someone that the Browns picked up. So it's pretty crazy the way that you've seen a 13-3 team do so horribly in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the Packers just are way out there right now, and who knows what that's going to do. And we also don't know what the NFL season is going to look like, and we don't know what other seasons could look like if they're going to try to restart. We did get news this week, though, that Major League Baseball is trying to come up with some plans on how they can restart, where they're going to play. Are they going to do a biodome type thing? They're going to go out to Arizona. They're going to go to Walt Disney World at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complexes, just to have everybody in one area, or, separate them in a couple areas. And one thing that we saw this week was a possible realignment into 3 divisions, and splitting all the 30 teams instead of having 2 different leagues, American League, National League, having 3 different divisions, a West, a Central, and an East. And Indians got put into the Central Division, as they are here in the AL, but they got put into the MLB Central as part of this rumored realignment. They are with the Chicago Cubs and White Sox, Milwaukee Brewers, St. Louis Cardinals, Kansas City Chiefs, Cincinnati Reds, Minnesota Twins, Atlanta Braves, and Detroit Tigers. So you kind of have, some of those kind of the Central from both National and American League in that Central, except for the Atlanta Braves, who are in the NL East. and people have kind of thought about Pittsburgh Pirates, who are in the Major League Baseball East, switching them with those based on rivalries. Just Paulus, I mean, just your thoughts on this alignment, and are we going to see baseball at some point this year? Do you really believe we're going to see baseball?
I think that we will see baseball later this year. I think we're probably looking at July starting off, and that's once again just a complete guess. I think that they'll start sometime in July, maybe do like a 80 to 100 game season, and maybe extend out the playoffs a little bit. So that way, I mean, we're looking at the end of October. Maybe to start the World Series and kind of go from there. If they are doing the biodome treatment, technically you could probably do it at any point in time. Maybe even do the World Series in November, possibly in December. So on how far out you want to do this, you technically could, depending on where and when you're planning on doing everything for baseball, whether it's in a dome setting or down south, Florida. Aspect. I mean, obviously, you can't be doing anything up north unless you're going to like Milwaukee, because they have a dome field up there, or possibly Toronto. I like the way that they have this all set up here for us. In the Central, you figure there's 12 teams that make the playoffs every year, and that's pretty much the standard as to how they do that. Not the playing game or anything like that, but just 6 overall teams, get right then and there. If you're looking at those 6 teams, you're looking at least coming 4 coming from each division. And I think that the Indians would be right there with those 4 teams. The Atlanta Braves are a very solid team. A lot of people were choosing them to be the World Series champs coming into this year. Milwaukee is always a tough team. The Chicago Cubs, depending on, I don't know, I can't remember exactly who their who their manager is now. You never want to say that to a coach.
To a manager.
Yeah, you never want to say that to a manager. He is not a coach. He is a manager. But I can't remember exactly who they have going in there to manage now. But Cincinnati Reds, Kansas City, Detroit, Chicago, all of those teams don't really scare me. The Twins, Cubs, maybe. Cardinals, not so much. So, I mean, you're looking at the top half of it. Atlanta, Braves, Chicago Cubs, Indians. I think all of those teams would be right there to making the playoffs. And if that were the case for it, I don't know. To me personally, I think that the Indians, for us always saying that this might be their last year, with Frankie, this might be the last go around with Frankie, or this might be the last go around with the amount of talent that we have on this team. I think you can make a run in this weird sort of alignment. I think that this would be a doable situation for us.
It's weird. And I know we've talked a lot about football, but man, do I miss baseball. I miss baseball so much. And even as a big basketball fan, we would have the playoffs going on right now. And yeah, I miss that too, but I miss baseball because we've had some really nice weather. You could have gone out to the ballpark. Opening day would have been
Gorgeous.
Beautiful. Everybody thought that March 26th was too early. And of course we get great weather that early on in the season. And, this kind of thing happens. To look at this alignment, I mean, just looking at the Central Division where the Indians are, just kind of keeping it more local here. I mean, the White Sox and the Cincinnati Reds were going to be the 2 in each of their divisions that were kind of that middle of the road, kind of up and coming teams that could have had that breakout year this year or could have been that 1 year away. So yeah, the Indians, I could definitely see them as one of those top 4 teams if they still do like a 12-team playoff with this alignment. But then you would also have the Sox and the Reds as those 2 kind of dark horse teams. Braves really good. Cubs or Brewers, excellent teams that are good each year. Tigers are still bottom of the barrel. Kansas City still kind of on that rebuild from their World Series run. St. Louis Cardinals, they're again a really good organization. Not sure that they're, kind of like a middle of the road type of team right now as well. But the best ones that have the chance to succeed are the Twins, the Indians, and you got the Braves, and then either Brewers or Cubs. I think would be you're kind of like your top 5 out of 10 there, and kind of Indians going back and forth with one of those or a couple of those teams in that last spot maybe. Um, just looking at the rest of it, I mean, of course, the East, you still get your Boston and New York, which everybody would focus on the entire time, and you can have more Subway series, not where the subways are, of course, because you're not going to play in New York. But yeah, it definitely makes sense. I can see Pirates or Braves, switching spots there. People just thinking of location. I mean, I think Atlanta is more east than Pittsburgh is, but it's just kind of like a toss up there between those two teams on where you're going to put them. Indians would definitely have a good shot in this alignment. I miss baseball, and I miss being able to talk about, every couple weeks, where's the team at? Are they, because it can ebb and flow so much, and you just love to watch that as a baseball season goes on. We did get some Indians news though as well this week. Just yesterday, I believe it was the relief pitcher that can throw upwards of 100 miles an hour, Emmanuel Clase, I believe his name is.
Yes.
Who put in, who was part of that Kluber trade. He just tested positive for PEDs and got suspended 80 games. So, and I believe with that half season suspension, that rules you out for the playoffs. And we had Abraham Almonte a few years ago was the same case. He came back halfway through the year, and he was actually helping the Indians as part of one of their playoff runs, and couldn't be a part of the playoffs because of this. And we're in quarantine, and dudes are testing positive for PEDs. Is that the reason why he was able to throw close to 100 miles an hour? Like, what are you doing? And that just makes it, the Indians less of a winner in that trade. I mean, you get rid of one of your top guy and one of your top guys because he was, kind of on the back end of his career, but
Right.
still a quality guy in your starting lineup for someone that you think, well, we needed some bullpen help. This is a good haul for Kluber. This is kind of what we're looking for if you're going to trade him away.
Right.
Don't want to see him leave, but okay, I get looking with reality glasses. Good. Now this happens, and like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the smartest thing that he's ever done, obviously. Who knows? Maybe this is the reason why the dude can throw up to 101, 102 miles an hour. That might be, that might be the case. And if that is the case, then we got suckered into it. And that does suck. But at the same time, I mean, Kluber was looking to be like glue factory. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he wasn't up to snuff as to what we thought he was going to be. Last year was a big disappointment. He, obviously got injured with the comebacker, and then he wasn't able to make it back out towards the end of the year, because he had some strained abdominal muscle or anything like that. So it was a bummer for him last year, but even the year before that, I mean, you definitely knew that he lost a lot of juice. So I think that I still would have made the trade. Obviously, I don't know if it would have been for, Clase just because of what was all going on. But I thought moving off of Kluber's $17 million contract was the right thing to do. Now, moving off of that contract meant that you were going in the right direction and going to spend that money elsewhere. And the Indians never did that, which has always bothered me. And it's always bothered, the both of us there for us. But I think sending Kluber off was the right deal. Maybe it wasn't the right deal for, Emmanuel Clase, but it's something that, we're going to figure out, later on. I think that this kid, I mean, from what everyone's talking about, this kid is dynamite. I mean, it's unfortunate that he's probably not going to play. If we ended up having games this year, he's not going to play anything this year for sure. But going into the future, I think that it's something that we should keep an eye on, and because I think that this kid could be really good.
Yeah, he could be really good, but in hindsight's always 2020. So before we made the trade, I was willing to, because I knew that they wouldn't. Reality-wise, I wanted to keep Kluber, but I knew they wouldn't because of the money. but I was willing to keep him, and him having a year off and just kind of getting that rest because he pitched so much in all of these playoff runs and, kind of extending out that arm, maybe the rest was going to help him. I was willing to give that a shot. And now seeing that this guy tested positive and he wouldn't even be able to help you in a playoff run anyways this season, I would definitely be even more so open to Kluber. I mean, I miss that guy and those types of guys that in this clubhouse, and we just know what the future holds for this team. I'm just not ready to look into the unfortunate truth just yet. We know what the reality looks like. I'm just not ready to dive too deep into that yet. I'm just hoping we get to see baseball. And even if there's no fans, that's fine. I need baseball. I need to watch baseball.
I need something in my life. I need some sort of sports in my life.
Yes. And I would love to have basketball going on with their playoffs and baseball games going on, and just have, even if I can't go, the only thing I miss about going to a baseball game is the food. And I know that, the Indians have some great food, and they use some of the local eateries there. I mean, Happy Dog. I know that Barrio is there. They do a great job. And when they redid Progressive Field, they did a great job getting the food in there. And Paulus, I know that food has been a theme for you this week, or at least Epic Meals has been a theme for you this week. As we kind of, wind down here, I know we kind of wanted to add in an extra fun topic today. We talked to Marvel at the beginning, but an extra fun topic with food. You got to have Giordano's, who resonates out of Chicago, I believe, but you did find a location in Canton. And of course, they got that traditional deep style Chicago pizza. Just give us your review. And I think you wanted to give a top 3 of best meals or best places we've ever eaten. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Giordano's, apparently they came into Belton Village Mall where Belton Village was or still is. A couple months back. I think it was right around August or September of last year. And I've been waiting to go there for forever, it feels like, because I love Chicago deep dish style pizza. I love pizza in general, but let's be honest. But I've always been a fan of deep dish Chicago style pizza. And from what I've heard, this is one of the best, if not the best. And Chicago's obviously internationally known for their deep dish pizza. So the moment that it came here, I always wanted to try it. The other day, Kelly and I were talking about food, and she's like, "Yo, let's do pizza," and it just popped in my mind. I was like, "Oh my God, Giordano's is in Canton. We could order it. We'll bring it home." And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that is the best pizza I've ever had, and I've had pizza everywhere. That is hands down the best pizza I've ever had. It was the meat lovers special that they had. Had sausage, pepperoni, salami, and bacon, and it was so damn good. I know, Kevin, you're not you're unfortunately unable to have milk, lactose intolerant. So I mean, I don't think that it would set you over very well. I think that you'd be hunched in the bathroom for like, I don't know, about 15 days. I'm a little bit lactose intolerant myself, but I fight through the pain. And that goes along with milk or pizza. And this was so unbelievably cheesy. It was ridiculously good.
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, I know that there are certain things where there's a limited amount. I mean, even the homemade chocolate chip cookies that my family makes. I mean, we try to use the plant butter for baking, and it just doesn't work well. It didn't come out the same, so they went back to the traditional butter. And if I eat a lot of that kind of stuff that has it in there, yeah, I mean, I'll fight through the pain on that.
Sure.
Having even maybe 2 bites of that pizza that you showed there, I don't know that
you would have been done. You would have been done. There's no doubt in my mind.
The week-long pain, I don't know that that's necessarily worth it, even taking like a lactate pill or something like that. I know my girlfriend just saw out there on Facebook, one of her friends who is lactose intolerant, who has to go with dairy-free products, found some dairy-free cheese and products on like a company that does dairy-free things, and is looking to make me some dairy-free pizza. So we'll see how that goes in the future to try to get pizza back going. Because I miss pizza and I miss ice cream. I know there's vegan ice cream out there too that we're gonna try to get in the new apartment we're moving into today. But yeah, you're making me hungry. What are your top three? Did you come in with a top three of meals you've ever had?
Of course I did. Top three meals or top three food items that I personally love. That pizza's there. I'm not gonna lie, like that pizza made the list. My mom makes this fettuccine carbonara, which is unbelievable. I have that like once a year, every year, and it's always on my birthday. So like that is the go-to thing. I'm hoping my mom shows Kelly how to make it because like that is I would eat that fettuccine carbonara every single day for the rest of my life if I could. But yeah, so the pizza, fettuccine carbonara, and then Kelly, I don't know what she does. She says she just like follows the directions, but it's I don't believe her. I think she does something extra. She does these cheesy potatoes that are so damn good. I believe that's probably one of the 3 or 4 reasons why I married Kelly because of her cheesy potatoes. It is so good. And Kelly is she never really was a cook before we met, and she liked to do a couple of things here and there, but she does a couple of things that are really good. I really haven't had a bad meal from her, you know, so which is great. But
earn those brownie points. There you go.
100%, yeah, 100% brownie points. But her cheesy potatoes are out of this world. I love them. I love them more than I love most people. So I am unbelievably in love with those cheesy potatoes. But those are my 3. What about you, Peter?
Well, I've had the Giordano's pizza in Chicago, and it is fantastic. Yes. But I'd have to say, when I was a kid, I remember this. I had a deep dish pizza. I think it was in Orlando at a place called Rosario's. I actually remember this. It's probably like 30 some years ago. And it was phenomenal. It was so good, I still remember it. Fantastic. But one of the like recently, like today, I'm actually picking up some Winking Lizard ribs from Mayfield. I ordered ahead. They're doing. That's one of my favorite meals right now. Their ribs are. I love them. Their baked beans, ribs, mac and cheese dinner is fantastic. So I wanted that for my birthday back in March, but because of the coronavirus, I had to settle for a burger because they were still open doing takeout, but they weren't doing the ribs.
Right. And then, damn quarantine.
I know. No, it's terrible, isn't it? And man, trying to think of other like just top favorite meals. I have a great memory of Pickle Bill's. All you can eat everything.
Oh, Pickle Bill's. I love Pickle Bill's.
It was. I just remember that going. I was in my 20s, went there with my friends. It was just I'm surprised that we didn't put them out of business, because it was delicious and we ate a ton. But trying to pick like top 3 favorites man, it's hard. I love food. It shows. I love food.
Right, yeah. The Pickle Bill's is a solid option. We go there for my sister's birthday.
Nice.
And we do the all you can eat. I think it's snow crab or whatever it is. And that is, I mean, it's like $50 or $75, but if you pound a couple of pounds of it, you got your money's worth.
It's like shrimp and crab legs and
whatever
prime
you
rib.
want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You guys are making me so hungry, and we may go just a little past our normal time here. But
we're good. What's your top 3, Kevin?
So right at the top of the list has to be my family's homemade jambalaya. Has to be. I mean, it gives me that Cajun feel of the culture that we kind of come from. And I mean, most of the family doesn't eat it. So when they make like they make the big pot, and I know I've talked about it before with the Super Bowl party and everything, but when they make the big pot of it and then they freeze it so that there's more left over, there's more meals throughout the year. Even if it's reheated, it is mwah, 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 mwah. Like just like yeah, I mean, it's excellent. And you add in some like cornbread and, just kind of make a whole meal out of it. Excellent. You can make me happy with honey barbecue wings, and the two spots I go to that have some of the best, that would be Buffalo Wild Wings and especially Applebee's. Their appetizer boneless honey barbecue wings are absolutely great. I know there's a lot of people that, especially that are really into cooking, that they don't like when the barbecue sauce is drenched all over things. I love that. I love when ribs have it drenched all over it. I love when the wings have it drenched all over there. I love extra sauce.
Yep.
All over there. And I guess last one would be Texas Roadhouse. I get their barbecue chicken sandwich with the fries, but the thing that makes the whole meal, and I can make a meal out of it myself, the rolls.
Oh yeah.
The rolls at Texas Roadhouse. I know that I can't eat the cinnamon butter anymore, but we're also trying to find a way to make that dairy free as well, with the cinnamon butter on there. Or if you just eat the rolls by themselves, it is excellent. Excellent. I mean, I've found some better chicken sandwiches, but when you have that with the rolls tied into it, that is just one of my go-to meals all the time.
Just makes it even better. Right?
Yeah, it just makes it even better. I mean, we can rank chicken sandwiches some other time, but just meal wise, that's one of my go-tos. But that is going to wrap it up for this edition, because I'm too hungry right now and I can't talk anymore because I need to go get some food right now. So that is going to wrap it up for this slightly longer edition. But hopefully everybody out there has got their tummies rumbling and getting hungry out there. It wraps it up for this season 3, episode 16 edition, a jam-packed episode of Voice of the Land podcast. And of course, remember, you guys can always find us on social media at VTL_POD on Instagram and Twitter. Like our Facebook page at Voice of the Land. Subscribe to YouTube at Voice of the Land podcast for all of our video content and full show podcasts. And find the episodes throughout the week on Google, Spotify, Apple, and all your major podcast platforms. For our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tellep, and my brother, Nick Paulus, I'm Kevin Arnold, telling all of you sports fans out there, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And as we always say, we love you all 3,000. We will see you all next week.